I'm Kevin Jacobsen of Gold Derby here with Wagner Moura, who stars in Shining Girls on Apple TV Plus. So you're playing a reporter, Dan Velasquez, who is helping out the main character of Kirby with sort of investigating who was behind what happened to her. So, what did you know about just the character of Dan and who he was as a person when you first were signing on?
I was uh, I was very. I mean, first of all, when I got they had when they offered me the role, they sent me the three first episodes, and and the first thing that I thought was like that was very good writing, and I was very happy about that. And then and that involves, of course, the characters I think all the characters of the show are very well written, all of them. And I was, and Dan was, for me, it was, I was, first of all, I was thrilled to play a journalist. That's like my background as I graduated as a journalist and worked as a journalist for a while. And we can talk about that if you want, about like how important I think journalism is in the world nowadays. But to answer your question, Dan is not like it's a character that had a very cool. He was not there only to serve the main plot of the story. You know, it's a character that had its own. I love, for example, his relationship with this kid. I love the alcoholism part of the character that made it like which is in a way also connected to one of the main themes stories in the show, which is memory and the lack of memory, how you don't remember things that happened to you. So I thought it was a great character. I thought it was I was super excited to work with Lizzie, because I think that also any character becomes greater when you're playing opposite a great actor, you know. So I was excited about that too. I also think that characters are, in general, like they are sort of a part of ourselves always. I think that we are always sort of playing ourselves and finding different stuff that we have inside ourselves and playing. So I was very excited to dig, because Dan is obviously a very troubled guy, and I was very excited to dig in myself the kind of all those issues and troubles that character had, you know, being a reckless father, or being what's how can I relate to all that? You know, for me, it's all about that. What would you do? What would I do, Wagner, if I was in that situation, that circumstances? And with Dan, that was hard, but it was great. I was really pleased to play that part.
Yeah, well, I mean, you talked about just your background. I'm curious, what were the parts there, like specifically about Dan, the way he conducts himself, just his approach to the job, and those elements, like his family, you know, his relationship with his son. What did you find personally like you could understand and relate to as you were sort of getting into it?
Yeah, I have three sons, right? I have three boys, and I played Hamlet when I was 30, 29. When my father was very sick, and then he ended up passing away right after that. So this father and son thing is I think that everything that I do has the shadow of Hamlet on it, because I watch Lion King and I cry every time. It's that particular part of the character is, and it was very strong. How can you be making it like trying to make this too simplistic? But it's hard. I mean, I'm now here in LA but I just wrapped this film that I was shooting with Alex Garland, and I spent 4 months in Atlanta, Georgia. It was hard to come. It's not to come to LA to see my kids. They visited me there for a while, and now I'm here. My wife went to Brazil. He's like in the Amazon rainforest doing a research in the indigenous territory. Like I can't even talk to her, and I'm here, just the four of us, me and the boys. And just when I look at them, just to have time to be here, you know, and really spend time with them, not doing anything else. And what I feel great about it, but I also regret, in a way, all the last 4 months that I didn't see them growing up. This is a complaint that every professional, I think, that have kids that has to work does. And in Dan's case, it goes beyond that, because Dan had, in order to put his life back on track, he and being an alcoholic and all that, he was a reckless father, you know. So if all the scenes that he has with his son, you can see that he's really trying something there, but you know, he's not good at it. You know, the kid is there by himself, he wakes up and he tries hard. So in a way, this is what I try to do in a different, of course, in a different way, but this is what we all do. So of course I try to bring all this personal thing to the character. When I'm talking to that kid, of course I'm bringing everything that I live in my life there, and also the everything. I mean, the relationship with Kirby, you know, it's like we all had someone in our lives that we meet at some point of our lives, and there's like, okay, there is something about this person that's very special. I don't know exactly what it is, but there is something about her, right? Like, or his relationship with his job, the journalist, the importance of journalism, and what are the ethical barriers that he can break in order to do what he has to do. You know, we all live all this. That's what I'm saying. We all have the characters inside ourselves, right? Like, I don't believe that actors create characters. I think that they are all there, and you just have to dig and find. And sometimes that is not nice. You know, it's not a nice feeling. You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also interesting just to watch your character really try to wrap his mind around exactly what's happening with this case, because there's a time travel component, and he really has to kind of suspend his disbelief in order to really understand the truth behind what's been happening to these girls across decades. And we ultimately do see that he becomes more and more bonded with Kirby, and really just is so invested in helping her, which you're kind of alluding to. What I'm curious if we can maybe dig in more into what you think he might see in her and what does compel him to help her.
It's hard. Can you imagine for a journalist, like and Dan is a good journalist, to listen to that kind of thing and try to make sense of all that? It's like, it's really hard. It has, in the beginning, I like the way Silka Luisa builds the relationship between Kirby and Dan, because I think it's quite beautiful since the first scene till the last scene on episode 8, because they sort of recognize in each other some similar things, like similar wounds, similar scars, or similar behaviors, the memory stuff and all that, but they don't open themselves to each other fast. It takes time, and I think this is really well built. The thing with Kirby starts for Dan as a professional thing, like he really wants that story, and that girl means like that story can take him back to the professional position that he used to be before. But then, like you said, there is something about her. There's something about her, and I think this is beautiful, because this is the again, this is what we all have gone through this before. You know, we all have seen someone like a friend or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or someone that you meet and go, there's something about this person. And there is something about her that, of course, he then didn't know that how special she was, you know, or the circumstances that she is involved in were. But that feeling is beautiful. That ends up taking us to the last scene of we can give spoilers, yes. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So the last scene of Kirby and Dan in that bar where she says, he goes like, I know you. But he really doesn't, because they haven't met in that reality. But there is that sort of that stays, right? That encounter was so profound and made so much sense that, yeah, I know you somehow, and I think that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to maybe ask about how that might have extended to your working relationship with Elisabeth Moss. And, you know, she's really bringing her all to this role, like she always does. And this is your first time working together. What does she give you as just a collaborator, as an actor, and as a director too, that kind of helps you in the work you're doing? And do you feel that kind of same sort of connection that the two of these characters have?
Again, I think it's all mixed, right? I mean, my Dan's relationship with Kirby for the time that I spent in Chicago shooting this series, in my heart, in my mind, it's very much mixed with my relationship with Lizzie. I'm 45 years old. I've been doing this for 30 years, and it's really rare, especially now, to find someone, to meet someone that you really have a connection with, personally and artistically. And I think that Lizzie and I, we are also very similar in terms of the way we see the thing that we do. Very physical actors and very like I love that Lizzie doesn't care about. We like to explore a scene, like we have a pre-concept of a scene, but it doesn't really matter when you're there doing it. Like, let's just explore it and see where this is gonna go. And as a director, she's amazing, because this is the kind of director that you want to have, like someone that's not like judging you, but like just go do it. If it doesn't make sense, we just. So there was some sort of electricity, I think, when I was working with her, both as an actor and as a director, that's what you want when you're acting, right? Is to create like some sort of energy that. So yeah, everything that I'm saying, like, since it seems like that our conversation has which you and I, it has a theme, which is like how personal acting can be. And I think that it pretty much, with Lizzie, that's pretty much the description of all that. You know, it was it's Dan and Kirby, me and Lizzie was like a very in my mind, it's all mixed. You know, I absolutely adore her, and I loved working with her, and I really think she's one of the greatest American actors working nowadays.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, everything she said, she gives it her all. I do want to touch on one plot point later on in the season. I'm glad I'm talking to you now when I could talk about the full season, which is when in episode 7, he gets attacked by Harper. And, you know, all this is happening while his son is waiting outside. So there's kind of this added tragic element to it. How did you kind of prepare for some of the bigger moments in that episode? Because I think there's also a moment on the porch when you're sort of confessing some things with her
too.
Yeah.
Which is a scene where sort of Dan is the most vulnerable that I've seen. Of course, when he's drunk, he's very vulnerable, but that's different. He was now consciously vulnerable. You know, he was vulnerable to open to her in a way that that's been built in the entire season. But that's the moment that he goes like, "This is who I am. You know, this is how I. This is, you know, I and I love that. Like by the end of one of the last things that he says to her is like, when I'm in that state of mind, I forget everything. And she goes like, "Will you forget me?" And then they cut. There was more dialogue after that, but Lizzie decided to cut in the editing room. And I love this because he says, she says, "Will you forget me?" And then next time we see him, he dies, and then we see them together again, only in the last scene where she says, and he goes like, "I know you." And I think that this is beautiful. And for the scene where Dan dies, it was interesting because it was also pretty much about my relationship with Jamie and with Harper, because every scene I had with Jamie, before that scene, I was drunk. And that one was the only scene that I was like, that I could really like look at. Again, in the editing room, that scene, the way we shot it was bigger because there was a fight. They were like fighting, and then finally he stabs Dan. But it was very physical and it was sort of a way of, you know, a goodbye scene between Jamie Bell and I, who I also loved working with. It's a shame that we didn't have many other scenes together, but it was very physical. We were like fighting but the way it is, it's nice because it's more unpredictable, right? Like you don't expect that to happen that fast. And the kid waiting for him in that car, all that really just breaks my heart. I'm glad I wasn't there to watch that scene.
Yeah.
That kid is lovely, by the way.
Yeah. Did you feel that connection too with him?
To him, absolutely.
Kind of spoke about it earlier. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's a lovely boy with a great family, you know, not that kind of little actors that you see or sometimes, but like he's like really grounded. He has an amazing family with his dad and mom and his brother. He's a very, very cool kid.
Well, I mean, this sounds like a show that really personally had a lot of meaning for you.
Everything that I do, I really think that I don't. And when I looking back, I don't even like the word career, or because this is my life. So everything that I do, it's something I only do things that I think that can make sense, or that I would learn something, or that would, you know, bring me an experience to my life. And that was definitely one that was great.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal performance, a fascinating series. For those of you watching, subscribe for more interviews and go to goldderby.com to make your Emmy predictions. Thank you so much, Wagner. This was great.
Nice talking to you. Thank you very much.